7a. As a matter of fact. Dot. Dot. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun. Katharine Hepburn, U.S. actress. G. Permission, obligation, and necessity. V. Word formation. Prefixes P. Intonation and linking in exclamations. Everything you think you know is probably wrong. Dot. Dot. The natural world. 1. What kind of bears cause the most fatal injuries? 2. Of all the dog breeds, which is the most genetically similar to wolves? Science. 3. What color is the sun? 4. Is ice cream a solid, a liquid, or a gas? History. 5. When was the last time elephants were used in wartime? 6. Where is the oldest known boomerang from? Geography. 7. Which is the wettest, London, Rome, or Barcelona? 8. Where is the highest mountain on British soil? Sport. 9. What was the first sport to have a world championship? 10. At the first modern Olympics, what were the medals for winners made of? Miscellaneous. 11. Who designed the Eiffel Tower? 12. In what job are people most likely to suffer injuries at work? 1. Listening and speaking. A look at the questions from a book based on a popular TV quiz show called Chi. In pairs, try to agree on answers to questions 1 to 12. B. Communication Chi Quiz AP.109 BP.114. Read the answers to the questions and explain them to each other. C. 7.1 Listen to part 1 of a program about QL and answer the questions. 1. Why was the show called Chi? 2. What is the basic principle behind the show and its books? 3. What 2 examples are given from the Chi Book of General Ignorance? 4. What does the popularity of the books prove? 5. What are the 2 reasons Lloyd and Mitchinson give for why children often do badly in school? D. 7.2 Now listen to part 2. Complete the 5 suggestions Lloyd and Mitchinson make about education. 1. Education should be more. 2. The best people to control what children learn are. 3. Children should be in control of. 4. There should never be. 5. There's no reason why school has to. Listen again and make notes about the reason for each suggestion. F. In small groups, discuss suggestions 1 to 5 in D. Do you think they are good ideas? 2. Pronunciation, intonation and linking in exclamations. A 7.3 Listen to 2 conversations and complete the exclamations. 1. Lloyd and Mitchinson think that school shouldn't be compulsory. Exclamation mark. If it wasn't compulsory, no one would ever go. B. 2. Did you know that at the time of the French Revolution, only half the population spoke French? B. Exclamation mark. So what language did the other half speak? B. Listen again and answer the questions with a partner. 1. Which word has extra stress in each exclamation? What happens to the intonation? 2. Why do you think a with sound is added between how and the adjective? C. Practice saying some more exclamations with what and how. What a great idea. What an amazing coincidence. What a pain. What a terrible experience. How annoying. How embarrassing. How weird. D. Communication. What a ridiculous idea. AP.111 BP.112 Respond to what your partner says with an exclamation. 3. Vocabulary word formation. Prefixes. A look at 10 more QL facts. Which do you find the most surprising? B. Look at the bold prefixes in the highlighted words. Answer the questions with a partner. C. 1. Which 3 are negative prefixes and make the word mean the opposite? 2. What meaning do the other prefixes add to a word? P.169 Vocabulary bank prefixes. D. Add a prefix to the bold words and make any other necessary changes to complete the sentences. 1. I completely. I see I was wrong. Judge Allen. I thought he was self-centered, but. 2. This paragraph in your essay is rather unclear. I advise you to. It. Right. 3. I can't read my doctor's handwriting. It's completely legible. 4. Having to take care of my sister's dogs while she's on holiday is terribly convenient. 5. The police have promised to tackle centers. Social. 6. The expedition failed because they were. 7. It's going to be in last week's defeat. Hill. 8. Food poisoning from behavior in city. Equip. Struggle to motivate the team after meat can be very serious. Cook. 9. We're not going back to that restaurant. Time we went. Charge. 10. The hotel has an June to September door. As last. Swimming pool that's only open from dot, dot, dot. And everything is interesting. 1. Snow fleas survive the cold because their bodies contain natural antifreeze. 2. You are more likely to order dessert in a restaurant if the waiter is overweight. 3. In the USA, bottled water outsells all other soft drinks combined, including Pepsi and Coke. 4. In Honolulu, it's illegal to cross the street using a mobile phone. 5. Tea leaves uncurl when hot water is poured on him, a process known as the agony of the leaves. 6. Starfish can regrow a whole new body from a single arm. 7. The most common time for people to misspell Facebook as Factbook is 3.08 a.m. 3:08. 8. The word anomia means the inability to remember names. 9. You could listen to a radio on the moon, but it's virtually impossible on a submarine. Radio waves travel much more easily through space than through water. 10. 7% of the microplastic in the sea comes from the paint used for road markings. 4. Reading a talk to a partner. Have you ever Black circle been told to turn your phone off in a public place? Black circle had something taken away from you at airport security? Black circle been told to stop taking photographs in a public place? Did you think you were being treated reasonably? B. Read 3 questions on the back cover of a book called In the Interests of Safety, which exposes the truth behind some of the rules which govern our lives. How would you answer the questions? Can a mobile phone cause a major explosion at a petrol station? What would happen if the no liquids rule at airports was abolished? And are all the child protection measures really making children safer? Have you ever wondered why, if it is so dangerous to make a mobile phone call at a petrol station, you are even allowed to carry one in a car? In fact, the chance of a spark from a mobile phone detonating petrol or diesel is effectively zero, because both these fuels are far less flammable than is one. Even dropped cigarettes don't ignite petrol. There has not been a single case of a phone igniting petrol. So what is the source of the phone myth? In the early days of mobile phones, manufacturers thought phone ignition was too, and included a warning about not using them near fuel, which led to the warnings at service stations. By the 1990s, this warning changed. Now users were simply instructed to obey any signs telling them to switch their phones off. Meanwhile, petrol pump attendants recounted stories about pumps which had blown up because of a phone, even saying that they had seen footage on YouTube. However, no footage exists. It is true that using a phone might distract people while refueling. So, rather than 3 stories about lethal mobile phones, shouldn't the authorities make it clear that this is the only real problem? Now read 3 extracts from the book. In which extract do the authors say that? Question mark. The rule is based on something which is possible in theory, but not in practice. No rule actually exists, only advice. The rule is based on an outdated rumor. D. Read the extracts again and complete them with phrases A.J. There is one phrase you don't need. A theoretical possibility. B. A very bad idea. C. Actively encouraged. D. Personal and private use only. E. Going along with. F. Nothing to that effect. G. Always criticized. H. Popularly supposed. I. To improve security. J. Under any circumstances. E. What are the author's answers to the 3 questions in B? Are you convinced by their arguments? 2. Scientist Richard Dawkins was queuing up recently at London Heathrow Airport security when he saw a mother growing agitated because she was not allowed to take her young daughter's eczema cream on board. Dawkins wrote later, no sane person, witnessing that scene, seriously feared that this woman was planning to blow herself up on a plane. Single quote. To passengers around the world, the 100 milliliter rule means one thing. Airport security officials are stopping anyone from boarding with enough liquid to blow up the aircraft. But is liquid all you need to make up an explosive device? When we started asking experts, they confirmed that the explosive that most worried airlines was triacetone triperoxide. TATP. However, making TATP before boarding would be 4, as it is likely to detonate without warning, just as a result of physical movement. And mixing the ingredients on the plane would be even more complicated, as TATP must be prepared at a temperature of around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You would also need a lot of scientific equipment, and making the liquid would take several hours. Even if no one knocked on the toilet door during the hours you were in there, you would then have to wait several more hours for the liquid to dry to a powder. No wonder the chemists we interviewed expressed disbelief about the whole idea. The only real justification for the liquids rule appears to be that giving people, especially nervous flyers, the idea that you are doing something 5 is a good thing. The irony is that passengers are not only allowed, but to carry bottles of highly flammable alcohol onto airplanes. = 8. Fr. English. Rue. Adapted from In the Interests of Safety by Tracy Brown and Michael Hanlon. 5. Grammar permission, obligation, and necessity. A look at the pairs of sentences. With a partner, say if they are the same or different in meaning. In which pair of sentences is there a difference in register? 1. It is not permitted to use your phone here. You aren't allowed to use your phone here. 2. You'd better finish your water before we go through security. You ought to finish your water before we go through security. 3. We aren't supposed to take photos here. We mustn't take photos here. 4. You don't have to fill in the form now. You can do it later. You needn't fill in the form now. You can do it later. 5. We should have left home early. We had to leave home early. BP.154 Grammar Bank 7a. 3. Ken Payne was watching his son, Jake, play in a local under-16s football match. When Ken tried to take a photo, the referee came over to him and told him he couldn't take photos, as it was against the Child Protection Act. This was not an isolated incident. Many schools in the USA and Britain now have a policy that no parent may photograph any child, even their own, 7, on school property. One school in the UK told parents they could no longer take pictures during the Christmas school play or the sports day, and then employed an official photographer to record these events. The photos were then offered for sale to the parents. The referee who told Payne to put his camera away cited the Football Association and the Child Protection Act as responsible for the ban on photography. We decided to take Ken's case up with these 2 authorities. The Football Association replied that they had no problem with parents taking still or video images of football matches involving children, so long as they were for, and were not posted on the internet. We then looked into the situation with the Child Protection Act. First, we approached the local government association, which is responsible for many schools and sports facilities. They said they had no policy on photographing children, and referred us to the Association of Directors of Children's Services. ADCS. The ADCS said, we offer no sort of guidance of this type. Each school makes their own decision. Furthermore, we could find the text of the Child Protection Act, the only guideline which does exist. And remember, this is not a law or even a rule. Boils down to, be careful about sharing images of other people's children on the internet. In 6. Speaking. A talk in small groups. Imagine the following laws or regulations have been proposed for your country. Would you be in favor of them or not? Say why. On the road. People over 85 should not be allowed to drive. It should be against the law for pedestrians to cross the street while wearing earphones. Cyclists ought to be made to pass a test to get a cycling license before they are allowed on the road. At home. It should be compulsory to turn off all electrical appliances at night and not leave them on standby. It ought to be illegal to leave children under 12 alone in the house. It should be against the law for parents to give fast food to obese children. Public health. Smoking in the street should be banned. Restaurants and bars ought not to be allowed to serve more than 2 alcoholic drinks per person. People who abuse their health should be made to contribute to expensive medical treatment. Society. It should be compulsory for people to vote in elections. All advertising aimed at children under the age of 12 ought to be banned. Couples should have to attend 3 months of marriage counseling before they are allowed to get divorced. Be in your groups, come up with a new law or regulation that you would like to see introduced for 2 of the categories above. C. Appoint a spokesperson to present your laws or regulations to the rest of the class and give reasons. Then have a class vote to choose the best one to introduce. 7b. A masterpiece. G. Perception and sensation v. Art. Color idioms P. A. B. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. Scott Adams, U.S. comic artist. 1. Listening. A look at 3 works of public art. What might they have in common? B. 7.6 Listen to the first part of a documentary and check your answer to A. Answer the questions with a partner. 1. What was the fourth plinth originally built for? 2. Why did it remain empty for over 150 years? 3. What possibilities were discussed for its use? 4. Why might they have been rejected? 7.7 Listen to the rest of the documentary about the fourth plinth, where the presenter talks about the 3 works of art in A. Complete the information boxes and match them to photos A-C. Artists Michael Elmgreen and Fig. 101. 1. Title Nelsons. By. Displayed from. Artist Yinka Shonibare 2. Title. By. Inga Dragset. Displayed from. 3. Title The. Should Not Exist. By. Artist Michael Rakowitz. Displayed from. 2. D. Listen again and answer the questions about each work of art. 1. What ship is inside the bottle? B. What does the sculpture symbolize? C. What happened to the sculpture after it was removed from the fourth plinth? 2. What kind of horse is the boy riding? B. What did previous statues of men on horseback tend to celebrate? C. What are the artists celebrating with this statue, and what is their hope for the future? 3. What project did Michael Rakowitz start in 2006? B. What exactly is the Lamassu, and where was the original? C. What was it made of and why? E. Talk to a partner. Which of the works of art in a do you like best? Why? Black circle. Imagine there was an empty plinth in the main square in your town, and a sculpture was going to be placed on it. What would you like it to be of? Dash. Is there anything you would like it to commemorate? Glossary. Date. Syrup. A sweet sticky brown fruit that grows on a date palm tree. 2. Grammar. Perception and sensation. A complete some comments made about Rakowitz's Lamassu sculpture with the correct form of a verb or verb phrase from the list. Look as if look at look like see seem. 1. It really. 2. You can only. Of when you. The original statue. What it's made it really closely. It's made. 3. Pronunciation your. Write the words in the correct group according to the pronunciation of your. Sculpture, picture, allure, architecture, capture, creature, culture, endure, feature, furniture, future, immature, impure, leisure, measure, nature, obscure, pleasure, secure, signature, structure, shore, temperature, texture, treasure. 3. From a distance, it. Of gold and precious metals. Single quote. 2. 4. The artist. To be trying not to. Which. Similar but is more. Replicate the lost statue, but to make something. Connected with modern life. Single quote. B 7.8 Listen and check. C. Answer the questions with a partner. 1. What's the grammatical difference between look as if and look like, and in meaning between look at and see, and between look and seem? 2. Sight is one of the 5 senses. What are the other 4? DP.155 Grammar Bank 7b. E. Ask and answer the questions with a partner. Are there any sculptures, paintings, or pictures that you like or dislike looking at because of how they make you feel? Who do you look like most in your family? Do you resemble them in any other way? In your opinion, which foreign language sounds are the most attractive? B. The most similar to your language? Are there any sounds or kinds of music that you don't like hearing because they make you feel uncomfortable? Are there any foods you dislike because of their smell or their texture, rather than their taste? What kinds of perfume or cologne do you really like or dislike the smell of on yourself or on other people? Why? Are there certain materials you love to wear, or never wear, because of the way they feel? Look at the list of creatures below. Are there any that you don't like to look at, even in a photo? Would you be prepared to touch any of them in a zoo? Why not? Question mark. A lion, a lizard, a parrot, a rat. A snake, a tarantula. B 7.9 Listen and check. C. Look at the words in the 2 groups above. Answer the questions. 1. In group 1, where is the stress in all the words? 2. What sounds do the T and the S make before your? 3. In group 2, which syllable is stressed? D. Practice saying the sentences. 1. In this picture, the artist captures the allure of nature. 2. The Minister of Culture takes no pleasure in sculpture. 3. He has a treasured collection of old furniture. 4. Are you sure the new structure is secure? 5. The architecture has some unusual features. 4. Vocabulary and speaking art. A. Talk to a partner. What's the difference between ... Question mark. 1. A sculpture and an installation. 2. A statue and a monument. 3. Abstract art and figurative art. 4. A landscape and a still life. 5. A portrait and a self-portrait. 6. A drawing and an illustration. 7. A poster and a painting. 8. A canvas and a frame. B. Talk in small groups. What public art is there in your town, city? Are there any pieces that you particularly like or dislike? What famous statues, sculptures, or monuments have you seen, either in your country or abroad? Are there any that you really like or dislike? Do you ever go to museums or art galleries in your hometown, or when you are on holiday? Which ones do you remember and why? What art do you have in your daily life, for example? Question mark. On the walls of your bedroom or living room. As the screensaver on your computer or phone. 5. Reading and listening. Read the first paragraph of an article about a TV program. Explain why each program might end in joy or disappointment. B. Read the rest of the article. Then work with a partner and cover the text. A. Say what you can remember about Lucian Freud. B. Say what you can remember about John Turner and why he contacted the program. Fake or fortune. For every known masterpiece, there may be another, still waiting to be discovered. Fake or Fortune is the art series where presenter Fiona Bruce and art expert Philip Mould try to prove whether works of art owned by viewers are fakes or are genuine lost works by great artists and therefore worth a fortune. The investigation can end in joy or in bitter disappointment. In one episode, the team tried to discover whether a portrait is a lost work by one of the 20th century's most important painters, Lucian Freud. Lucian Freud, grandson of the famous psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, was born in Germany in 1922, but his family emigrated to London in 1933 to escape the rise of Nazism. From 1939 to 1942, he studied at the East Anglian School of Painting and Drawing, where he was considered a very promising student. Freud had a magnetic personality. He could move effortlessly between low and high society, and even painted the Queen. But he was known for being ill-tempered and was often at the center of controversy and feuds. His work obsessed him. Each painting could take thousands of hours, as he created intensely observed portraits, sometimes beautiful, sometimes disturbing. At his death in 2011, he left an estate worth almost £100 million. Philip Mould and Fiona Bruce. In 1997, London-based designer John Turner was given a painting of a man in a black cravat, which he was told was an early work by Lucian Freud. John wanted to be sure that the painting really was by Freud. If it was, it would be worth a fortune. However, he knew that there were some doubts about the painting's authenticity. Firstly, it was unsigned. But there was a second and more serious issue. In 1985, Christie's, the famous London auction house, had examined the painting and had agreed that it was an authentic work. However, Christie's then sent a photo of the painting to Lucian Freud himself, and to their shock and surprise, he replied, saying that the painting was not by him. John didn't know what to believe. Was the picture a fake, then, or perhaps just painted by someone else? And if it really was by Freud, why did he deny it? After unsuccessful investigations, as a last resort, John contacted Fake or Fortune, who agreed to investigate. John Turner with the man in the black cravat. 72. Fr. English Rue. C 7.10. Now listen to a documentary about the painting, including an interview with John Turner. Number the events 1 to 8. The painting was examined by an expert, who found a long hair embedded in it. The program discovered that Freud had admitted to his lawyer that he had started the painting. The program found letters which confirmed the identity of the man in the black cravat. Scientific analysis proved that the portrait had been painted by only one person. DNA analysis proved that the hair did not belong to Lucian Freud. 1. The program investigated how Dennis had got hold of the painting. The program showed the evidence they had uncovered to 3 Freud experts. The program investigated who the subject of the painting was. Glossary. Dennis Worth Miller, an artist who studied with Freud at the East Anglian School of Painting and Drawing. John Jameson, a member of the Jameson family, who were Irish whiskey distillers. Libby Sheldon, an expert in the scientific analysis of paintings, specialist in painters' use of pigments and their brush strokes. Diana Rawstron, Lucian Freud's solicitor. A kind of lawyer. D. Listen again and check your order of events in C. How likely do you think it is that experts will say that the painting is genuine? E. 7.11. Listen to the end of the documentary and answer the questions. 1. What did the experts decide? 2. Why does John think that Freud denied the painting was his? 3. How does John feel about the painting and why? 4. Have his feelings changed during the process of authentication? Why not? Question mark. 5. What is he going to do with the painting? F 7.12. Listen to 5 extracts from the documentary and complete some idiomatic expressions that John uses. With a partner, say what you think they mean from the context. 1. I was absolutely 2. I got excitement. ... 3. So we were all moment. ... 4. I could have 5. ... It just hour with adrenaline and at this straight away with me that it was so like Freud's early drawings. G. What do you think of the painting? If you had been in John's situation, what would you have done with the painting? 6. Speaking. A. Communication. Which is the fake? AP.110. BP.115. Describe the paintings to each other and decide which one is genuine and which is a fake. B. Look at the items from the list and then answer the questions in small groups. Bags, clothes and shoes, sports equipment, sunglasses, watches. 1. Have you ever bought or been given something that was a fake? Did you know it was a fake when you got it? How do you feel about it? Do you think you would like it more if it was the real thing? 2. Are the fakes as good as the originals? If they are worse, in what way? 3. Do you think it should be illegal to sell fakes? 4. Are many pirate versions of books, films, or music sold or downloaded in your country? Are they good quality? Do you think it's acceptable to use pirate copies? 7. Vocabulary. Color idioms. Complete the bold idioms with a color from the list. Black. X2. Blue, gray, red. X2. White. X3. 1st John Singer. Sargent's Lost Great Flamenco Picture, El Jaleo, turned up out of the and amazingly, it was absolutely genuine. 2. It's very difficult for thieves to sell famous paintings, even on the market. 3. We tried to organize an exhibition tour, but there was so much tape to deal with that we had to cancel. 4. When you said how nice her dress was, were you telling a lie? I thought it was awful. 5. The impact of social media on today's society isn't issue. There are A. and upsides and downsides. 6. That huge clock my sister-in-law gave me is A. elephant. It doesn't fit anywhere and it's taking up space in the spare room. 7. There are lots of rules about copyright for printed text, but online copyright is still a bit of an area. Nobody is quite sure who owns what. 8. The anonymous letter was nothing to do with the murder at all. Herring, it. B. With a partner, say what you think the idioms mean. C. Write true sentences about you or your country using 4 of the color idioms, and compare with a partner. 6 and 7. Colloquial English talking about. ... Illustration. 1. The interview part 1. Read the biographical information about Quentin Blake. Have you ever read any books illustrated by him? What else has he done apart from book illustrations? Quentin Blake is probably the best-known British illustrator of children's books. Apart from his illustrations of stories by other authors, for example, his famous drawings for Roald Dahl's books, he has also both written and illustrated many stories of his own. In recent years, his work has increasingly appeared in public places such as galleries and museums, and he has produced work for the walls of several hospitals and mental health centers in both the UK and France. He has also illustrated adult books such as Cervantes' Don Quixote. He is a trustee of the House of Illustration, a centre in London for exhibitions and other activities, and was the subject of the first exhibition held there in 2014. B. Watch part 1 of the interview. What does Quentin Blake think is the most important thing for someone who wants to become an illustrator? C. Now watch again. Complete sentences 1 to 5. 1. Quentin Blake describes himself as ... 2. When he was in his early 20s, he ... 3. In 1960, he and John Yeoman ... 4. He finds it touching when ... 5. A lot of young people say they want to become illustrators because ... D. Did you used to draw a lot when you were a child? Do you ever draw nowadays? Glossary. Ceramic. Adjective. Closing parenthesis. Opening parenthesis. Objects, e.g. pots. Made of clay that has been permanently made hard by heat. John Yeoman, author of A Drink of Water, the first children's book illustrated by Quentin Blake. A. Part 2. Now watch part 2. Mark the sentences T. True. Or F. False. 1. Quentin Blake says that authors and illustrators usually need to have a lot of conversations. 2. The most important thing is the relationship between the illustrator and the words in the book. 3. Quentin Blake never drew any of Roald Dahl's characters without first talking to him about them. 4. He thinks conversations with Dahl helped him to get into the mood of the books. 5. Roald Dahl sometimes changed his text if an illustration wasn't working. 6. The BFG was originally described as wearing a leather apron. 7. The apron was found to make the BFG look too old. 8. The shoes the BFG wears were based on a pair of Quentin Blake's own shoes. B. Watch again. Say why the F sentences are false. C. Do you think illustrations help to make a story come alive? Is there an age at which illustrations are no longer needed? Glossary. The BFG, a book by Roald Dahl published in 1982. BFG stands for Big Friendly Giant. Part 3. And now watch Part 3. What does Quentin Blake say about ... Question mark. 1. His relationship with the characters he creates in an illustration. 2. His attitude to children. 3. The conversation. 3. Drawing from life. 4. Digital drawing. 5. The advantage of quills, nibs, and reed pens. 6. Ronald Searle and André Francois. 7. His exhibition in Paris. B. Watch again. Can you add any more details? C. Can you remember a book you loved because of the illustrations? What did you like about them? Do you remember any you disliked or were scared of? Glossary. Quill. 2. Nib. Reed pen, a pen made from a tall plant that grows in or near water. Ronald Searle, British artist and satirical cartoonist. André Francois, Hungarian-born French cartoonist. Looking at language. Get. Get is one of most common verbs in English. It is frequently used by Quentin Blake in this interview. Learning expressions with get, and thoroughly assimilating the variety of meanings of this important verb, will help you to understand native speakers better. Watch some extracts from the interview and complete the missing words in the highlighted phrases. 1. But we got. And I thought, well, I'll try. I'll try and keep on with this until I'm 30. Single quote. 2. And I got. I didn't notice. Single quote. But I passed 30 and. 3. But, we talked quite a lot. Again, some of it was about the technicalities of the book, getting it better. Single quote. 4. But I think, to get the book, which is a terribly important thing. Single quote. 5. So after a bit he said, this apron's getting isn't it? Single quote. 6. If you have a quill, or a nib, or a reed pen, you get a rough scratch. Single quote. 7. When I was a young man, I got and went to see him. Single quote. Be with a partner, say what the phrases mean, using a synonym for get where possible. Of. Christian. Debbie. Lucy. Watch the conversation. Who says that illustrations. Question mark. 1. What attracts a child to a book? 2. Are more important for very young children. 3. Can spoil a book for some people. B. Watch again. Answer the questions. C. 1. What did Lucy love reading when she was younger? Why does she say the graphic novel she read was a disappointment? 2. Why did Christian have a problem with reading when he was younger? How did he manage to enjoy books as a small child? 3. According to Debbie, how do pictures help children to understand stories? Why was she so impressed by the Harry Potter films? C. Did you like comics or graphic novels? Which do you think is more important, the story or the illustrations? D. Watch some extracts and complete the adverbs or adverbial phrases. Why do the speakers use them? 1. Novels. Dot. Dot. Love books. 2. I grew up reading The Hobbit. 3. Dot. Dot. And I didn't enjoy it. 4. Dot. Dot. Which I think is important. Dot. Dot. 5. Dot. Dot. I think pictures are classic. Important. Dot. Dot. Now have a conversation in groups of 3. Discuss the statements. 1. Lots of adult books would benefit from being illustrated. 2. The cover of a book heavily influences whether people choose to read it.